Let's take it away then with our first set of guests. We have with us Ed Yarderni, President at Yardeni Research, as well as Arvind Sanger, Managing Partner, Geosphere Capital Management, to make sense of now what seems to be a bit of a legal challenge that has started. Gentlemen, thanks very much for joining in. Mr. Yarderni, let me come to you. You've been actually very positive otherwise fundamentally on US equities. How do you see this legal issue now playing out? The administration has gone ahead and appealed in the Court of Appeals. Does this put a pause in the current negotiations at all? I mean, what happens now?
It's a very messy situation for sure. Why would any country now want to proceed with negotiating with the administration when the court just questioned whether the tariffs have any constitutional right to exist in the first place? But I think everybody knows that there's no way that you can negotiate a trade treaty in 90 days. I think we're still going to get some letters of agreement between us and our major trading partners on continuing to negotiate fair trade deals. So I think there'll be a lot of face saving going on, and I think the president is basically going to declare victory and try to put this whole thing behind him by the middle to the end of the summer. I think the president really can't afford to have this thing go on and risk causing a recession, which then would create some real problems for him in the midterm elections next year in November. So all in all, I've been anticipating that this too shall pass, that it'll be over by the summer, and looks like it's pretty much scheduled to do that.
So you're saying that countries will keep the negotiation window open. I mean, I don't know if they have a choice. This is despite the fact that the legal challenges there. Do you expect it to be a more prolonged, long drawn out kind of legal battle till we have a final order from, I don't know, maybe the US Supreme Court?
Yeah, I think it, I don't know the exact route that it goes to from this court. There's obviously an appeals court, but it could very quickly go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court might very well confirm that the president was out of step with claiming that there's a national emergency related to the trade deficit that required these kind of actions on the tariff side. But I think our major trading partners are going to go along with they're going to go with the flow, and I think then the discussions will continue. There will be short letters of agreement, or maybe 5 pages of frameworks that the president can declare as victory, and then put this issue behind us.
Arvind, hi, morning. Night to you. This is Reema here. As Ed just said, things are going to get messy right now. Given that the Trump administration plans to appeal this decision, what are the various market scenarios one needs to prepare for?
Well, there's one other thing that Ed didn't cover, which is that what the court did not rule out or push back on is the Section 232 tariffs on steel and aluminum. And what I think will end up happening is, for the easy victories, there's a Section 232 study or whatever it's called going on by the Commerce Department on copper. There's another one on pharmaceuticals, and I think there's a third one on auto parts. What is going to end up happening is President Trump will try to, move those forward, and then try to use exemptions on those tariffs as bargaining chips. I agree with what Ed said, that people will give Trump some face-saving, quote-unquote, victory.
Oops.
Oopsie. All right. Well, we'll get Arvind back into this discussion. But let's go back to Ed. Ed, what should the approach be then to equity markets? India's done quite well. You told us in the past that S&P 500 is closer to your target. I think you had scaled it down from around 6,500 to around 6,000. Right. How would you approach this entire global equity market piece? And do you think that for the second half now, we should be satisfied with more subdued returns?
Well, while all this was going on, all this Trump tariff turmoil, as I call it, has been going on, the market also sold off on concerns that the introduction of China's DeepSeek back in January meant that companies were spending much too much money on AI infrastructure that they would never get a return on. And so I think that was another important reason why the stock market in the United States and in China and other places took a dive, because AI, the whole digital revolution, the whole idea that technology is going to create tremendous opportunities, that all got kind of threatened by DeepSeek. But then the major U.S. Companies that are involved in AI infrastructure and in the cloud, like Microsoft and Amazon and Meta and Google, they all confirmed that they intend to spend collectively $350 billion on AI infrastructure, which really means cloud infrastructure. I think we have to get over this idea that it's all AI. What it really is processing as much data as we possibly can, as quickly as we can, as cheaply as we can. And AI just is a evolution of that digital revolution. And so I think NVIDIA today, after the market close in the United States, certainly provided some very good indicators of how strong their sales still are, how strong their earnings still are. The stock rose sharply. So I think the market's up this evening, at least in the futures market for the United States, is up because of these two developments. First, NVIDIA's better than expected. And secondly, the whole tariff situation may get messier, but it's probably on its way to being much less important.
All right, we have Arvind back with us as well. Arvind, you want to give us your comment with regard to how the entire global scenario is playing out, your preference with regard to equities, particularly India, and from India, which is the couple of themes that you like? I think power in the past, defense as well, we have briefly spoken about. But if you name one sector, which one would it be?
Well, I would say that anything domestic facing is something that we like. Obviously this removes a headwind on the global sectors, but I think that India is not as big a play on global sectors. So I would say anything domestic facing. And then I think metals is an area that I don't look at India too often, but I think there are a couple of interesting metals companies. And to the extent that global growth is back on track, I think metals is an area that is of great interest to us.
Arvind, just a question. Around you, are you really still hearing that chatter saying, let's diversify a little away from US equities, or is it kind of back to the US because the tech story is still strong, tariffs, etc.? Basically, what are you hearing on this whole point on diversification away from the US? And then where does India fit in that chatter, if at all?
Well, I would say that, yes, because of the uncertainty in the US, there has been move to diversify away from the US and reduce risk. To the extent that the courts severely constrain President Trump, it'll make the risk a little bit less in the US, but I still think that the global diversification is alive, but I don't think there'll be as much of a dumping of US assets and as much of a weakening of US dollar. But I think there's another risk. We're talking about tariffs right now, but there's the the fiscal deficit risk and the US bond yields shooting up. And if that continues to misbehave because of a widening fiscal deficit, then avoiding the US and going elsewhere is something that will still come to the fore. So there's an offsetting factor here on tariffs, but the fiscal deficit issue has not gone away. On the other hand, like you correctly said, the tech sector still, the US remains the envy of the world. And so, India and other countries will benefit if their domestic growth is good. And right now, in India, for instance, we're seeing some mixed numbers on domestic growth. So I think that's going to be the challenge in terms of from diversifying away from the US to where.
Ed, just getting back to the legal block story, can the administration reclassify the tariffs under different legislations, since the court has deemed that you can't do it under the Emergency Economic Powers Act? And also, since the court has said that, the Trump has exceeded his authority by using the IEEPA, and only the Congress has the constitutional right to regulate tariffs, will this undermine any future administrative decisions?
Well, again, I think the only logical conclusion right now is it's a messy situation. It's not clear which way the administration is going to go. Right now, it looks like it's just going to stick with its current policies and its current claim of why they have the power to declare an emergency and then use that declaration as an excuse for renegotiating tariff deals. I think they're going to pursue that right up to the Supreme Court. And I don't know that there really is much of an alternative to that. I think Arvind makes a very good point about industry-specific tariffs on steel and aluminum and pharmaceuticals, and that might be an interesting way to claim victory, that we still have those tariffs on. And as Arvind said, that they may very well be a useful way to negotiate additional trade deals with countries without using the national emergency excuse.
Sanger, was just reading that, what next after the reciprocal tariffs were struck down by the court? If the Court of International Trade's ruling is upheld, then will all the tariffs collected by the US from 2nd of April, will that have to be refunded?
From what I've read, that's what it seems to be, that they will be have to be refunded. Now, they haven't collected that much, but it's been one of the hidden kind of economic benefits of tariffs in terms of fiscal deficit. Just I think in the last 24 hours, there was an article by Peter Navarro claiming that the Congressional Budget Office is not taking into account all the revenues that are going to come from tariffs that are going to help reduce the fiscal deficit. And now that argument is out the window. So yes, I think that there is a real question about all these tens of billions that have been collected will need to be refunded. So I mean, I think as Ed has correctly put it, it's a messy situation, and I'm not sure how this is going to go. But it's not some kind of a lot of the court cases that have gone against Trump have been local jurisdictions putting national kind of claim, and there is a case in front of the Supreme Court claiming that these local courts shouldn't have jurisdiction to stop anything nationally. This is the International Trade Court. There is no claim that they don't have jurisdiction on trade. Now, it's not a jurisdiction question, which Trump is arguing against the Supreme Court on other cases. This is really a question of whether the court ruled incorrectly or not. And that's going to be a harder case to overturn because these guys are specialists on international trade law. Doesn't mean it can't be overturned, but I think that it looks to me like this is going to be, again, I'm no legal expert, but it looks like just from the logic standpoint, it seems like what they said makes complete logical sense, and it's going to be a tough one for Trump to overturn.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining in, Arvind as well as Ed. Appreciate you joining in and giving us your thoughts on how do you all see markets pan out.